We welcome you to Frame It, where we work to deliver facts, increase transparency, and demand accountability in Alabama's democratic processes. Frame It is brought to you by Alabama Values Progress, a communications hub dedicated to breaking the cycle of misinformation during the times where the truth is hard to find. On today's episode, we will discuss redistricting, what that means, and where we are in the process. First, I want to do a quick recap of the redistricting process. For those of you who don't know what redistricting is, it is a once-in-a-decade process of accounting for state-level population changes in Alabama to draw new district maps from the federal level to the local level. And that makes an impact on how funding is distributed for healthcare, schools, and roads. Redistricting directly affects funding for education. And of course, we all want our children to have access to quality education, the most up-to-date academic programs and activities to help put them ahead as they prepare for their futures. And y'all, having representation from someone who understands our communities and gives our children a greater chance of equitable education. It also affects funding for healthcare. We all want access to quality healthcare, from hospitals to specialist care. And having that representation from those who understand our communities' needs gives us a better shot at having much needed healthcare opportunities. Redistricting also impacts how Alabama's prison population is counted, how funding for prisons is handled, including handling of the prison overpopulation issues. Those who represent districts in the state legislature are also in charge of making Alabama laws, which directly affect the criminal justice system in Alabama. It also impacts voting rights, and when legislators gerrymander district lines, they directly affect the power of our votes. Drawing district maps unfairly can affect how much a vote is truly worth in a district. And I know that I want my vote to count as much as your vote or my neighbor's vote. So this is super important. And letting our voices be heard during redistricting keeps our voices and our votes heard. And of course, we all want to be heard. Building fair and representative voting districts committed to the one person, one vote principle will ensure that Alabama's political decision makers reflect the diversity of cultures and interests represented in the state's population. And y'all, we know from the 2020 census that Alabama is much more diverse than ever, which means we definitely want our representation to reflect Alabama's true demographics. Okay, y'all, there are several steps in the redistricting process. So it all started back in April when Alabama got its reapportionment data, which came from the 2020 census. And we found out we would keep our 7 congressional seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. And y'all, by the way, that was really great for Alabama because early on, we weren't sure we were going to keep the 7th seat. Next, the actual data was released on August 12th. And that let us know the population numbers of the state. And those numbers are important because that's how we determine how many people go into a district. Next, the Reapportionment Committee held 28 public hearings from September 1st to September 16th to give Alabamians an opportunity to voice any concerns they had, talk about communities of interest, and ask questions about redistricting. Now, Governor Kay Ivey has called a special session on redistricting that is set to start on October 28th. Donna Overton, supervisor of the Reapportionment Office, said the Reapportionment Committee will hold a meeting to review and approve maps on October 26th at 1 p.m. When she was asked by a concerned community member when and where may the public view the plans that are to be adopted, which y'all, by the way, is a great question because ideally in a transparent and open government, the people should have access to information such as these maps. Overton replied to the concerned citizen that the purpose of this meeting will be to discuss and adopt a committee plan for each of the congressional, state house, state senate, and state school board districts. So since then, we have found out that once the maps are passed out of the Reapportionment Committee on Tuesday, that they will be available online the following day, which y'all is only one day before the special session begins, but you should be able to find those on the legislator's website. Now, I'll tell you that the legislator's website isn't the most user-friendly site, but Donna said that the maps are supposed to be under the Resources tab, so hopefully that helps you. It seems the more things change, the more they stay the same in Alabama. This is completely legal, by the way, in Alabama for them not to present us the maps until the day before, but let's be real, it's not really ethical. Y'all, Alabamians showed up to the public hearings and let the committee know that they are actively interested in having a voice at the Alabama table. And if legislators care about their constituents, they will make more concerted effort to be transparent and to have the information readily available for all Alabamians to have access to. Transparency and accountability are so crucial in having an effective open government. And Alabama voters elect representatives to go to Montgomery to represent them. But that doesn't mean that the legislature can skirt by and not be held accountable to voters who are ultimately their bosses. And I don't know about y'all, but if I failed to communicate with my boss or do my job, I would no longer have my job. So I'm sure the same can be said for you also. So I'll leave you with this question, why are we continuing to let the legislature get away with the ages-old tactics of doing exactly what it wants without putting the needs of the state as a whole first? Y'all, we must break this cycle now. So, in closing, let me put it in a frame for you. Alabamians deserve a transparent and fair mapping process. However, our legislators throughout the public hearings and now ahead of the special sessions have continuously fought against transparency and accountability, and this cannot continue to happen. What we allow will continue, and Alabamians aren't going to stand for it. So now contact your legislatures and demand fair maps. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Frame It. I'm Kendra Majors, and I'm signing off. Join us next time. We will continue to cover the redistricting process and keep you informed. You can also catch future episodes by following us on social media and visiting us on the web. See you later.